Let's take you live back now to Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who's been monitoring that State of the Province address for us in Gauteng, and she's lined up some reaction. Mbalenhle?
Well, certainly, you would have heard that the EFF has given the Premier 3 months in office, and you saw those distractions a little bit earlier on. There was a point of order which came from the EFF benches while inside the State of the Province address. We are now joined by Gauteng, who is the provincial chair, who's going to give us a response on what we saw happening inside council, the distraction, as well as talk to us about the distraction. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, look, one thing we must never allow is to be, there should be an attempt to intimidate a democratic sitting of any nature, which we have seen today. I mean, our caucus just merely raised a point of order, and followed by a point of order, you have what you would call armed forces coming into the chamber. You know, it's unprecedented. And the point of order was on the basis that everyone who is seated here is practically sitting as part of the open and public gallery. And therefore, just like the Speaker had said, was that the rules of the chamber in themselves must then kick in terms of having that public space and the public gallery, you know.
Certainly.
And, we're just enforcing what the Speaker had said herself.
Certainly. Now let's talk to you about Ekurhuleni. Ekurhuleni finances have been in the media quite often, right? And as the EFF, you are hoping to take over Gauteng. Can people still put their confidence in the EFF following what we've seen transpiring in the city of Ekurhuleni, with refuse almost collapsing and the city finances, or the statements reportedly not making their way to the Auditor General's office?
Yeah, no, look, I don't know what's wrong with the journalists of the SABC, but there should be an element of a sense of occasion. We're here because we had extreme patience to listen and go through the speech of Henrik and respond to it, you know. But let's entertain it a bit, particularly when we are referring to the state of municipalities, like he would have raised, you know, in his speech. Any caring Premier, you know, but we appreciate that he's an outgoing Premier who's only going to be here for the next 2 months or so and then vacate office. Is that if there are interventions that he would have identified, such as municipalities that cannot provide water, such as municipalities that cannot provide, you know, the collection of waste, such as interventions in terms of electricity and electricity supply in those particular areas, he should have done the necessary interventions, but holding true to his name and the protection of whiteness. He did not want to elaborate particularly on the fact that he was referring.
We are running out of time.
Submission of financial statements.
I have to move on. Thank you so much for your time. Just to get more reaction, your thoughts on what has been done in terms of assisting municipalities. You have entered into coalitions with the EFF in both the city of Johannesburg and the city of Ekurhuleni, and it seems as though refuse collection has collapsed to the point that there's a need for the provincial government to assist. Are you regretting your decision to go into a coalition with the EFF at all?
First of all, we're not in coalition with EFF. We are in government of local unit. So it's not a coalition with EFF. There are many other political parties that are there. But I must say that our area of focus is make sure that we take services to our people. And we must say now that DA government and XNSA was not doing that. They were collapsing us. Of course, it is a sad state of affairs in Ekurhuleni for the first time. What is happening with the finances of Ekurhuleni has never happened. It's in the hands of EFF, including the issue of refuse collection. So it is a sad state of affair, and we will make sure as the African National Congress we intervene. We have spoken to the provincial government, not only in Ekurhuleni but in Tshwane. Tshwane is worse. The state of Tshwane municipality has really, it's in shame. The DA has really collapsed, and they can't want to be in charge of this province.
I'm sorry. You know how television is. We run out of time and I have to move along. It seems as though City Pick It Up is coming in to save the rest of the province. How do you think or feel about that?
Good evening to you, Mbali, and good evening to the listeners. It is not the first time that the province has called on the City of Johannesburg for intervention. As you would know, actively City Power is working in assisting Eskom with the mitigation of load shedding. Now it's going to be one of our entities pick it up to assist, particularly in Tshwane, in terms of how they've responded to some of the service delivery failures. The City of Johannesburg is always readily available to support sister municipalities at all times.
Thank you so much. There you are, Bonkosi Dlamini from the IFP. Your thoughts on today? What transpired today?
Oh, well, nothing was surprising because we are in the very silly political season. For me, it was a rally speech there, making promises again. He has promised us last year that the e-tolls are going to be the thing of the past. Today he's telling us that they are still finalizing. He promised the speed train from Gauteng to Limpopo. That he has not spoken about it. I mean, and second, where is the money going to come from to take over municipal functions? And he said that he'll be taking, I mean, if the people don't take rubbish, he will go to that city. Where did it come from? There's no money. So for me, it was just a political speech, electioneering, repeating the very same promises that he has made. The Premier is living in a province that I don't know, because in the province I'm living in, there is still squalor, there is unemployment, there is poverty, there is crime.
There you have it. Those are some of the political reactions. We have the SADP. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, no, look, there was a mixed bag of things that happened here. But most importantly, my passion and our passion is to make sure that our youth get jobs. So I'm hoping it will filter down to the youth so they can get a job of all demographics. But there's a bigger elephant in the room here. The elephant in the room is the violence. You almost saw what happened there. We want to call, the ACDP calls upon our nation to pray for peaceful elections, no bloodshed, because the MK, EFF and ANC must bring their people into order. That's critical for us.
Thank you so much. Solim Simanga, thank you so much for joining us. You said just a few days ago that the crime prevention wardens would not be permanent, and today it was announced that they are here to stay. Are you eating your words yet?
No. If you listen to the Panyazas were jumping with excitement when that announcement was made. This is a desperate premier who makes announcements on the fly. I can tell you there's no document that says these people are employed on a permanent basis. You could hear that they even had this thing for the first time themselves. He made so many announcements on the fly. He speaks about the process of e-tolls. You remember the same thing we were told in 2016, that the e-tolls will be scrapped. In 2019 we were told that the e-tolls will be scrapped. 2021 the e-tolls will be scrapped. Last year when he took over, he said within 3 months these things will be a thing of the past. He made an announcement around the e-panic buttons. The e-panic buttons are still not functional, but he said last year within 2 or 3 months these things will be up and running, but we haven't seen any of those. He goes again because he gets excited. He makes announcements around Eskom, and he says that he will engage with Eskom for cutting electricity. Eskom is saying people are not paying and this is why we are cutting, and he makes an announcement and makes an expectation that people cannot pay and then expect that services will be given to them. And that is something that for me smacks of desperation and electioneering of the highest order, and we have seen something that is very much worrying for us here. When you have a premier who sits by and watch a paramilitary enter into the legislature with guns and stand in front of legislature lawmakers with guns, that is a sign of desperation and something that we should be very much wary of.
Okay. MEC for Gauteng, Zikumalo, we are seeing the premier or the provincial government having to intervene in matters of municipality. The DA has just asked, where will the funds come from to assist failing municipalities? Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's where the problem is. You don't start with where the funds will come from. You start with the idea and the things that we need to do too.
we've looked at our budget in the province and we think that, for instance, the Premier spoke about where they don't collect waste, we will intervene. Okay? As the Department of COGTA, we are carrying a responsibility to intervene insofar as the working of municipalities are concerned. And in this regard, we are looking at different sections that allows us to do so. There is 105, for instance, that says we can go in there, talk to them, support them, identify a problem and support them. There's 106, depending on the extent of the problem. If there's malfeasance, if there's maladministration, if there's corruption, we will use 106 to get in there. We are waiting for all the reports of the AGs, right? And we're going to deal with these issues as far as that is concerned. Tshwane, they are still not, they've not submitted, and so on and so on. We are observing what's happening between them and the National Treasury. We will intervene. I've just indicated that, for instance, we will soon be in correspondence with the Mayor of Tshwane. I don't want to do with it, the content of it. I don't want to talk to it via media, out of respect, of course. But we are getting there because we can't leave the situation as it is, particularly as it relates to waste management, as it relates to water management, which is the big problem that is facing the resident of Tshwane.
Thank you. There you have it. That is the MEC for COGTA in the province, saying that they will be doing more to intervene in issues pertaining to the provision of water and refuse collection. But that was the political reaction coming from literally almost every party that is represented at the Gauteng provincial legislature. It is back to you in studio.
That's my colleague there, SABC reporter Mbaleng Mtetwa.